Welcome to the Nerdist Podcast number 821.
What? 821? No. You know what? It worked better for the first one.
Better in the last episode.
Yeah, new day, new problems.
We're doing 820. 821 doesn't work. 821 doesn't really.
If you don't understand this run, go listen to the previous episode.
Yeah, I only listen if I like the guest. And on Hostful, guess what? I don't like the guest.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sorry.
What? Oh, you don't listen to anything then.
I'm the internet. I don't give a shit. My preferences are your problem.
Oh, wait. That doesn't really... That's not how life works,
Well, then
sir.
I guess you're insecure because you can't handle criticism.
No, I'm just saying that I'm just doing this thing and you don't have
Whatever, bro, all caps.
Oh, God, all caps. He really means it.
Yeah, I was real mad. I'm very excited to introduce Katie Levine of the Nerdist Podcast producing fame. She's going to take us now to the Nerdist Community Corkboard desk. Katie, what is pinned up on the corkboard today in the newsroom?
We have two very exciting posts. First of all, the hilarious Kyle Kinane and Dave Stone have a podcast called The Boogie Monster. In it, they talk about aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, paranormal activity, but they also talk a lot about barbecue and fried chicken and shit that they enjoy. They're both hilarious, and I'm sure everyone that listens to this loves them. It comes out every Tuesday. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
And then also last year we did a Team Nerdist for the Best Friends Strut Your Mutt event, and we're going to do it again this year. It's October 22nd in Exposition Park in LA.
I don't know how I feel about all this mutt strutting.
But Scout's a mutt, and she loves to strut.
I just mean, why do you want to put these dogs in pageants? Put makeup on them and
There's
fake
no
eyelashes.
Makeup. We're just strutting for fun.
Oh, okay.
It's fun strut.
I think Bo might strut this year.
Right. You and Bo should absolutely be there. Yeah. Anyone can join the Nerdist team.
Work it, girl. you better work it, girl.
Anyone can join the Nerdist team. Again, it's October 22nd in Exposition Park in LA. But you can also do, virtual walk if you don't live in LA, or you can check out their site and find where they're doing them in other cities. And it's only $25 to join the team, and all the money goes to homeless animals. To find out more info or join the team, go to nerdi.st/strutyourmutt-team.
I'm going to strut your hut, where you
could bring Anubis.
Take different huts.
It seems like you could take them on a party
you
pleasure
could take,
barge.
Jabba to a pleasure barge. You just strut them back and forth. And
that's interesting. Are Pizza Huts allowed
too,
as well?
Well, there's a whole hut lore if you jump down the Wikipedia wormhole.
You know what, Chris? I'd rather not.
Well, all right. There was one hut. Normally they're criminals, Matt, but there was one hut who was actually a Jedi. There was one hut that was a Jedi. So
how would he wield a lightsaber with those tiny arms?
Well, he just knew how to strut his hut.
Did he work out? Was he like? I want to know what is like the normal body weight of a hut? Like, do you think Jabba's like a little?
I think he might have let himself go a little bit, but they are giant slug-like creatures.
That's true, but I feel like in Star Wars, the original Star Wars picture.
Hey, real slugs have curves, Matt.
Listen, in A New Hope, when he visits Han, you feel like he's very slim.
He's very small, and I think Han walks through his tail.
Walks over him.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way that is like
he phases through him.
It looks like when Poochie leaves Earth. That's how shitty the effects were.
I must go back to my home planet.
You have to go watch it, because the way they make Harrison Ford just jump over, because he walks around the actor who was.
I remember seeing it and going, "Huh?"
Yeah, it's
and how did
weird.
Jabba quadrupled in size between then and there?
Well, I mean, whatever he's putting back, I'm sure it wasn't a healthy lifestyle.
Sure Wikipedia has it. There are two E's in Wookiee, by the way. Stop fucking misspelling that, internet.
Thank you, because otherwise you're just saying wokey.
This episode is Seth Rogen, who is goddamn delightful. Seth Rogen.
Great laugh.
I love his laugh. I just love hearing him laugh.
It's not just a laugh.
So
He's just a good guy. Seth's just a good guy, and it makes me happy.
Fine gentleman.
Makes me happy when good people succeed. And Seth is an industry all unto himself, and I could not be happier for him. Such a nice guy, and he's promoting Sausage Party, which is great. It's filthy. It's an animated food movie that's filthy that you should see. The billboards for it are everywhere.
They are.
And it opens August 12th.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing it.
You absolutely need to see it. August 12th. Here's the Nerdist Podcast number 821. Seth Rogen.
Now entering Nerdist.com.
dressing room.
Amazing.
Yeah, it just feeds right into this. How's it going? This is Katie's dog.
Everything feeds into Chris's geekosystem.
Oh, where's my? Oh, there's our space. The little our space
nice.
vinyl dog.
This is awesome. This is what my office looks like at home.
Oh, it is.
I have a lot of toys and shit like that.
What kind of toys?
I'm actually really into like Japanese vinyl toys. Like I really like Cause and Run English and those guys. So, but I have a lot of but it all started with like superhero toys.
Well, we're going to Japan for the honeymoon in a week and a half. So I need to know where to go.
I went to the Medicom toy headquarters, like their main office in Japan when I was there, and it was like blue because I collect like Bear Bricks and Kubricks and shit like that, which Medicom makes, and yeah, it was incredible. It was like the coolest place I've ever been.
Oh, that's amazing!
Yeah,
you see the whole process.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And I talked to the weird guy who owns Medicom, who was like wearing like. He was like a character out of like a Zoolander bit. It was amazing.
Zoolander 1 or 2?
Kind of, I don't know, somewhere in the middle.
But I would imagine I don't know if I could get the. I'd have to call and be like, I'm on a couple cable shows. In
I
America.
did, yeah. I can't remember. I think you could do it. I think you could do it.
I don't think I'm on anything.
You don't know
You
until
can
you
get
try.
in there.
I don't think I'm on anything.
You don't know
I
unless you
think
can
at
try.
the very least, your wife could probably get in there.
Oh, maybe. Almost wife. The almost wife.
Well, by the time you go to Japan,
By the time I go
she'll
to
be
Japan,
your wife.
she will be the
And
she
you'll
will
be like,
the new
"Hi,
wife.
I'm Mrs. Hurst." And
Yeah,
That does help.
I'm a Mrs. Hurst.
yes, that's
Yes.
it.
Okay,
Mrs. Hurst.
I'm fine with that.
Clear.
By the way,
It's clear.
listen, I love my dad, but Hardwick is a terrible last name.
It is.
I mean, I don't really.
I mean, they're both very like hoity names.
I have a good friend who believes in name Darwinism, and just whichever member of the couple has the better last name, you both take it.
You take that, yeah. So I could be maybe I could reverse hyphenate. I'd be Chris Hardwick Hurst.
Yeah, that would
I
be
think
good.
that would be fine.
My wife's last name is Miller, and Seth Miller is a cooler name than Seth
much,
Rogen.
yeah,
I think.
it's
Yeah,
much
it's
cooler.
a
Sounds
way
like a
better
cool
name.
comic book artist.
Seth Miller. Yeah, it totally does.
I guess because of Frank Miller.
Because of Frank Miller. Yeah.
I guess I just made
Yeah,
that connection.
Miller just is a good last name.
Seth Miller does sound like a. He does sound like a cool. I'm going to say like a DC character.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool DC character.
Like an alias.
Yeah, like an alias. He's a young scientist kid, and then in his spare time,
He's a robot hand.
Yeah, he has a robot hand. Maybe no other real superpowers.
Yeah, just a robot hand.
also sounds like he'd be into improv.
He could
Yeah,
be an
exactly.
improv, yeah.
Seth Bar makes him. Yeah, he's quick on his feet.
Stop using your
You
robot
need that.
hand in every
Yeah,
scene.
That's his. Yeah, exactly. What was that? That's his alter ego. Is he's an improv teacher. He's known for being able to adapt to any situation.
His robot hand is a literal and a comedy crutch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's the same thing on both sides. Did you do improv for a while?
I did. I was on my high school improv team, and it's funny. I went to high school with Nathan Fielder. We were on the improv team together. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I was on. Yeah, we were on a high school improv team, and we were pretty good actually. We would like compete. Yeah, as far as high school improv
I've
teams
never
go.
heard anyone describe their high school improv team and
As
then go,
pretty good.
"We were pretty good."
We actually were pretty good. Like several members of the team have gone on. Jessie Cruikshank was on the team. She's like a host for like E, and on MTV. Like almost like half of the people on the team went on to like actually
Defied
get
the
careers
odds, Seth.
in show business. Like again, yeah, Fielder was on the team. Another guy, Ryan Smith, who works in like Canadian film and television. Like a lot of the members of the team went on to like work in movies.
It's
and
because of
television.
Canada. That's why. I
Yeah.
mean, when I remember in high school, people what was big was like, "Oh, I'm theater sports." Would you theater sports?
Well, theater sports was from Vancouver.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like theater sports as like a thing, like I think like the company theaters like the organized like tournament of improv originated.
Just like on Star Trek when Chekhov would claim everything was a Russian
Yeah,
invention.
exactly. Yeah. It's all from Vancouver. Chekhov,
it's actually Canadian.
Yeah, DeForest Kelly was from Vancouver. Actually,
Because I kind of wonder. I kind of wonder what it is about the Canadian DNA that is so. I mean,
They like indoor stuff.
they do like indoor stuff, but the dryness of the humor. I mean, it's almost like they took the British dry humor and then let it dry some more.
Exactly.
And then it became.
No, they took it and froze it.
we really grow up with like inundated by British comedy, you know? Like, it's on Mr. Bean and Fawlty Towers and, like, Monty Python is just, like, on a lot when you're growing up in Canada. And I really think that's something to do with it. And I think, like, I always look at our stuff and I'm like, why is it so weird? And I think it's because we grow up watching Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
Like, inundated by it. Like, everyone I work with has seen every episode of Kids in the Hall. Like, and everyone I grew up with has seen every episode of Kids in the Hall, like, for the most part, you know, because it was on every single night. And so I think you're, like, inundated by, like, weird comedy.
I think Kids in the Hall was a more cohesive version of Python.
It was kind of like the Canadian version of it. It was
but it was feel like Python was very much like, we're just doing kind of weird shit for the sake of weird shit.
Yeah.
And they're obviously all brilliant and they're polymaths and they do their sketches in German but they always end kind of weird. And I feel like Kids in the Hall really did have like more of a sketch show structure to it.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I actually think that's why like Canadians do well in American comedy, because I think it is like a more accessible version of a type of comedy that is not American. So it does feel a little different. Like when I started working, one of the first jobs me and Evan had was on the Ali G show, and Sasha, we found, just like didn't know a lot of American cultural stuff. Like he didn't know what like spring break was, and like we did, and we didn't have it like the same way we did and they do here. But like we grew up like with all the same with MTV and shit like that, and so you'd see like so they'd go to spring break and stuff like that, and so we knew about all of America's stuff. We just didn't really view it as our stuff, and so I think it puts Canadians in like a very unique situation to comment on American culture because they have it and they're like a part of it, but it's not like they're like one notch removed from it in some ways. You know what I mean? And I've seen it like play out. Like I just saw that firsthand with Sasha. I was like, oh, like we're the bridge between America and Britain as the writers of, you know, for Ali G at this moment. You know, it was interesting.
You're also like digesting like the most pure form of it. Like you're not experiencing what a real spring break is like. You're experiencing MTV's version.
Yes, exactly. The only culturalized version of it.
Oh my God, I think I mean,
whereas Chris experienced MTV's spring break.
I did.
You were really there.
I went to like 4 of them.
That's crazy.
And they were.
Were you just getting laid left and right, bro?
Well, no. No.
Brian McFadden was though.
You know what's really funny about being on Singled Out is for some reason I just didn't. I was not sticky on that show to the extent that I was in a bar one time, and this girl came up to the guy standing next to me and goes, "Didn't I just see you as a contestant on Singled Out last night?"
Amazing.
I was standing next to the guy. She never even noticed me.
That's incredible.
So, yeah,
contestants made a bigger impression on the show than you did.
And you also have to understand that I had just come out of college and I was still not so very socially inept in a way, and not. You know, as much as MTV like scruffed me up and kind of made me look 90s, and my hair was really long and I had gas station attendant pants, and, like I was still a nerdy kid that didn't know how to talk to these types of people comfortably, and I really kind of hated them. Yeah. And so I just didn't, I didn't like it, and so I just was never comfortable around it. So you'd go in and you'd shoot. And then MTV, because they were cheap, would literally try to fly you out the same day that you worked, if they could.
From spring break.
Yeah, you might stay one night, but then they would fly you out. But I just don't. I don't have any good.
I almost got to go to one because I was a writer for Undeclared, so it must have been like 2000 or 2001. It was probably one of the last big MTV spring breaks that was happening, and David Krumholtz was on some show or something, and to promote it, he was on Say What Karaoke out of MTV spring break, and he invited me to go as his guest, and I literally remember going to Judd and we were writing at the time on the show, and we were like gearing up to shoot or something. I was like, "Can I go like take Friday off and go to MTV Spring Break?" He was like, "Fuck no."
And that was the only opportunity.
And that was it.
Yeah. Boy, Judd Apatow has really fucked you repeatedly. Can't believe it.
No, it was, and what's funny is if now one of my like 20-year-old employees came up to me and was like, "Yo, can I go to Spring Break?" I'd be like, "Fuck no."
You got it right.
Kidding me?
Undeclared was a fun show. My friend Jared Grody was on that show.
Yeah, man, Jared Grody.
Wasn't Charlie Hunnam on that
Charlie
too?
Hunnam was on it, and Jay Baruchel.
Yeah.
And, it was a lot of fun. It was weird because I was like a college-age guy who was writing and acting on a college TV show, but I had not gone to college. So I would go visit my friends in college a lot and try to do like intensive kind of research expeditions, which essentially amounted to just getting like super messed up for like several days on end. But I had a really good time. It was fun. It felt like college to me. Like that was kind of my college experience.
I remember Jared would talk about that. Jared is a fucking great writer.
He's amazing, yeah.
I mean,
we let him improvise like every single thing he ever said on that show.
He is such a phenomenal... He had one bit about like people who buy Britney Spears albums are people who are like, money is too heavy to have a lot of.
Yeah,
like he would just write those kind of weird sort of surreal jokes,
amazing jokes.
And he would always talk about this British guy on Undeclared who was really, he was like, I don't know, he's just not, he doesn't seem that fun. And he would go up to Jared and be like, I'm told you're funny, but I don't see it, you know? Like, just like that kind of stuff. And then ultimately that turned out to be Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, he had an amazing career in drama. He went on to have an incredible dramatic acting career.
That's a pretty spectacular writing job. I mean, just to be 20.
Yeah.
And be writing on a show, and I mean, I might have been 18. Like it was in 2000, 2001. Because you didn't write on Freaks and Geeks.
So I was 18 and 19. No, I didn't. I would try. I would actually like write scenes and give them to Judd and the writers, and I think that's why they maybe started letting us like improvise some of the scenes more. But I would try, and then maybe if it went on for a second season, I would have got in there. So, and I would just go hang out in the writers' room. I'd literally just like sit there until they. And they wouldn't kick me out, generally speaking. But I wanted to be a writer so badly, and I'd written a version of Superbad at that point already, and so I like really wanted to get. I want to be a writer more than an actor, and so I would try. And then that's why when Undeclared came along after Freaks and Geeks was canceled, I was first hired as a writer and was actually specifically told like they don't want any of the cast members from Freaks and Geeks on it. And I was like, okay, I'll just write for the show, and then slowly I like worked my way in there. What's funny is I wrote the audition scenes, and so I literally would write scenes that were specifically tailored to make myself look good as I was reading with other actors. Yeah.
If you met someone who didn't know you, what would you say you do?
I'd probably say I'm a writer.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I probably would.
I think it would take up the majority of your time, right?
Yeah, and it's probably the thing that I'm like the most comfortable with being out of all the things that I mean, director just sounds kind of like poncy, and I don't know why, it just does. Like they're just like, I'm a director. I don't know why. It doesn't sound good for some reason. Producer, no one knows what that is. So like that's a vague job. I'm an actor. It's kind of like it's a douchey. I don't know. I just like I'm embarrassed to be an actor. Like it's embarrassing to be an actor. Like being an actor is an embarrassing job. Like it's an embarrassing job.
Sometimes it's just a function of. Oh, I'll just do it. I know I know how it needs to be done. I'll just do it.
Sometimes I just know as a writer that I, as the actor, would be the best person to do it, you know, and not just out of specificity's sake, not out of any skill's sake or anything like that. It's just like, for specific reasons, I think that, and I think I've actually gotten a lot better at acting, honestly. Like I was much less comfortable with it when I was younger. Like it was something that I kind of fell into, honestly. Like I didn't think I was going to be like an actor. I thought I was going to be like a writer and maybe a director, and but yeah, and so I I think I was fortunately like one of those people who got to learn how to act on television. Like before your very eyes, I became a better actor. And by the end of Undeclared, I'm like a serviceable actor.
It's just that you and Evan do these things that they're the kind of things that I think you would talk about with your friends. And I was like, oh, it'd be really great if a bunch of actors just played themselves in an apocalypse movie. But then you guys just get to make that.
Yeah, and then we just do it. I mean, and it takes a long time. We don't just get to do it.
No,
like, it takes years and years and years. And honestly, the weirder the idea, the longer it takes to make. But yeah, when I look at the stuff that, I mean, not all, again, to varying degrees, but like my favorite stuff that we've done, like I'm almost as more time goes by, I'm more shocked that we were able to do it. Like I think like as I'm more distanced from This Is the End as an example, I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's like a really weird movie to have gotten to exist even in the world.
Not
like
only
it's
exist,
really
but
strange.
you guys got a haunted house at Universal.
Yeah, we got
is
it.
so
which
weird.
is amazing. Yeah, and that was all because of Franco. That all like somehow came from a James Franco email where it's like, I think I know a guy who could get us a haunted house. I was like, go for it, man! Like run with
I had a
that,
free
dude.
weekend, so I built a haunted
Exactly.
house.
That's basically what happened. Yeah.
We were walking through the house. We were at that haunted house with Brian Husky, wondering if he had made it into the thing.
Was he in it?
No.
I never went. That's so funny. I was out of town the whole time it was open, but I really wanted to
The
go.
commitment level of Channing Tatum on a leash was unbelievable.
It was. I actually recently I found the actual email that I wrote to Channing Tatum to ask him to do the movie, and it was shockingly like upfront. It was like I did not sugarcoat it at all. It was almost like it was like the most like technical. Like here's what the film is about. We are actors stuck in our house. The apocalypse happens. Danny McBride gets kicked out. He makes a cannibal gang. He has a sexual gimp on the end of a leash. We thought it would be funny if you were that gimp. In all reality, it'll be you on your hands and knees for probably 2 nights in New Orleans. Like you will literally see your face for maybe 2 seconds, and we think it'll be really funny, and that's all I can ask. And like within like an hour, we got a response. It was like, yes, I will do it.
That's
Just like
awesome.
it's like send me the dates and we'll figure it.
He's a
out.
remarkably cool guy.
Oh, he's incredible. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was one of the most like impressive acting things I've ever seen, because also he's wearing a mask for almost all of it. Like it didn't have to be him. We could we could get you a stunt guy or something. He's like, nah, I got this. Like it was so crazy. It was like completely. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen a level of commitment that deep.
Well, and
Yeah.
you said, I think you say it took 5 years to get Sausage Party made?
It took it took us several years to write it, but yeah, there was probably a solid. There was probably took 3 years to write it, and then like a solid 3 years of just trying to get someone to make it. Like just going every meeting, we would go to every studio, every producer. So new people crop up, like, oh, they have access to some dude with money. They'll, maybe they can do it. And we did that for years and years and years, and just everyone loved it and thought it was great and funny, but like no one wanted to be the first to make an R-rated animated movie, basically, which was crazy to us, but also made a lot of sense. And so
Crazy how much sense this
yeah,
makes.
exactly. It's a right brain, left brain
Well, they used to
conundrum.
do like that. It's a very like they did similar stuff in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like they would do R-rated comedy,
Yeah.
or R-rated animated films.
Yeah, like heavy metal, and,
or any of that. Like,
but I think those were very fringe.
Fringe the Cat.
Yeah, and part of our whole idea was like this shouldn't be like a fringe movie. Like we want this to be like a big mainstream like comedy. Like hopefully this will appeal to everyone who likes comedy, and again, and also what was so weird is because like TV adult animation is so popular with like The Simpsons and Family Guy and South Park and stuff. Like almost the most popular animation on TV is for adults, and so it was really, again, it was one of those things like Evan, thank God we did it. Evan was like, we should wear hot dog suits to the pitches because like, he's like, I'm sure a bidding war is going to happen. It'll be very competitive. Like what better way to show our confidence than to roll it in hot dog suits? And like, we didn't, thank God, because like before we were like, even like to our cars, we would get the phone call being like, they loved it. They're not making it. And I was like, and I kept trying to Evan to be like, if we were in hot dog suits right now, this would be the worst. Like this is already be not the greatest day of my life, but if we were in hot dog suits, that would just have compounded this so much more. And then Megan Ellison, who has a company called Annapurna, who made Zero Dark 30 and The Master and American Hustle and a lot of very fancy movies by all means. We met with her and she loved the script and we just really got along, and she's like, I'm gonna try to make this movie. And then once she got involved, then Amy Pascal, who was at Sony at the time, was like, okay, this kind of mitigates our risk enough to the degree that it becomes something that we are willing to do. And we got a company called Nitrogen, which is an animation studio based out of Vancouver, which is where we're from, which was a nice coincidence. And they animated
Get that Canadian credit.
Exactly, yeah. And so for us, it's cool though.
Yeah, no,
we can't be accused of taking jobs out of America.
No, but also like the Canadian Film Board.
There's a very
had
nice incentive. Yeah.
Canadian Film Board had made so many great animated shorts.
Yeah, the Log Riders Waltz or whatever it was called was one. There was this Cat Came Back one. Yeah, the Cat Came Back one was amazing.
I still watch the Cat Came Back.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah,
stunning.
Oh yeah, those things we grew up was on television all the time. Like I've watched that Cat Came Back thing so many times.
It was Cordell Barker.
Insane. That's amazing. And I think Bill Plimpton did some of them that were on Canadian television a lot. But this Log Riders Waltz one, if you haven't seen it, you should look at it. It's the most like decidedly Canadian thing you will ever see in your entire life.
More than the Red Green Show.
It's like it's of a similar tone, I would say, but it's like mainlining Canadiana into your.
So if it's taking you 3 years, so it's 3 years to write the script. What's because obviously you're doing other things at the same time. So is that just every once in a while you and Evan are popping jokes back and forth, or you sit down? What happens in that 3 years?
It took us a long time to really. There's like a long marination phase that happens with, I think, some of our more out there ideas. Like we don't rush into it because, like with This Is the End, it was similar, where like it took us a long time to go from like, oh, it'd be funny, a bunch of actors playing themselves in a house during the apocalypse, to like an actual movie that is like worthy of its own existence in a 90-minute format. You know what I mean? And Sausage Party was exactly the same. We're like, yeah, a bunch of food in a grocery store, afraid of getting eaten. That's like, how do you turn that into an idea that actually, hopefully, supports itself for 90 minutes and has, deeper ideas behind it and is actually, unpredictable and takes different turns than you expect and evolves and changes throughout itself? Like, those are the things we want our movies to do, and it sometimes just takes years and years to think of the ideas that allow us to do that, and it's like a slow compilation process. And the actual writing of the script often is takes the least amount of time out of anything. Like once we have wrapped our heads around, with This Is the End, it took us years to think of they realize they can get sucked up into heaven still. Right. That simple thing was an idea that took us 2 years to come up with, just of what happens, where does it go, what's the evolution, what shape does it start to take? And there's several ideas in Sausage Party that I won't ruin because they're very unpredictable twists throughout it, I hope, but that literally just took us years to come up with, this is what the movie could actually be about, and then writing the scripts takes probably one out of that 3 year process.
It's such a long process. With something like Sausage Party, which part of the sell of it is that no one else has really done it. Mm-hmm. Are you worried in that length of time, someone's gonna fucking do it? Someone else is gonna. And they're right as we get to the finish line, it's
for sure. Yes, that always happens with almost all of our movies, and almost every time there is some other movie that actually is looming that kind of ultimately turns out to be completely different, and we feel stupid for ever having worried about it. But what's funny is we were making Pineapple Express. There's this movie called Without a Paddle.
Yes,
that has
Zach Shepard and Seth Green.
Seth Green is in it, and it's kind of about guys on the run from weed dealers because they burned down their weed field. And I remember it came out. We heard it was getting made while we were working on Pineapple Express, and we were like, oh no, this is going to ruin our fucking movie. And then we saw it, and we were like, oh, this could not be more different from our movie. And Yeah, we were very afraid that someone, specifically the South Park guys, most of all, would make some sort of R-rated, fully CGI. And there was like rumblings of other ones that have kind of come and gone in the last few years, but none of them came into being. But there was...
I don't know if it interests them. They already did R-rated puppets, so I think think they're good.
Yeah, exactly. I
we're
hope
fine.
So. Yeah.
We're fine.
And I think they'll never do puppets again.
Yeah, it was really hard.
really, really, really hard.
Yeah,
really hard to do R-rated puppets.
Yeah, the DP who shot Preacher shot Team America, and he had amazing stories. Incredibly difficult it was.
Preacher, by the way, was. I know. I work for AMC.
Yeah, exactly. You got to say,
but I really did love the show.
Thank you.
It's
Well,
so,
you sound a lot like someone with a 3-year overall deal.
Yeah, exactly. You have no vested stake.
What's funny though is I do get that from people like, well, yeah, because you get fired if you go like, I don't. That's not the relationship
that's not true
I have
at all.
with
Yeah.
him.
Contract signed, bro. He can say whatever he wants.
Exactly. You could just avoid it.
Yeah, I could not say anything about it, but I think. If people can, I'm so excited to see the second season of that show.
Yeah, me too.
So much happened in the first. There was so much to cram into the first season.
Yeah.
That I think for people who had trouble following some of the stuff, if they appreciate it and then get because now it feels like now the story is actually going to start.
Yeah, I think it's like built on so many crazy ideas that if you're not a comic book fan, are like very abstract ideas for an hour-long dramatic character-based television show,
right.
And that was our thought, was like, we should not assume that like these types of ideas are like easily digestible by a lot of people, and like a lot of people actually like these types of ideas could actually be very alienating if you just lay them out and dump them out and don't kind of tease them or build them, or establish like an emotional reality in the characters that you're invested in before you unload this like crazier subject matter,
Yeah.
And that was really our thought, was like, how do you kind of explain all these crazy ideas and get people emotionally invested in it? So by the time the season's over, you're kind of where the comic starts, which is they're kind of out in the world and on the road, basically.
How are you focusing on, like, what? I think you might be I don't know how much weed you smoke. But I think you might be. I used to say like Kevin Smith and Doug Benson were two of the most productive stoners I've met.
They are very productive.
But you're very productive. Mm-hmm. So how are you?
I was just with Ricky Williams this morning. He's one.
There you go.
He's one of the more productive stoners, also.
How are you balancing out your calendar? Is it like, okay, so Preacher is January to March, and then from April to this time we're focusing on this movie, and then we're doing. It just always feels like there's something in motion.
It's different, and I bounce back and forth between things a lot. Like there was. Several months where, like, I would be going from, like, the Preacher editing room to, like, our production offices for the pilot we were gearing up to shoot to, like, the other editing room for the movie we had in post, and I'd literally spend, like, 3 hours in each place throughout the day, and they were all in Hollywood, so I just would drive around, and that's how it is sometimes, or sometimes we'll schedule it out and be like, okay, we're making a movie from these months, and then as we're in post on it, we can prep this thing, and then maybe, it's all very, like, organically comes together. We have very little strategy in our careers. We probably should have more, but we kind of take it as it comes. Because also you never know what's actually going to happen.
Right.
Like, movies and TV shows and everything, like, until you're like 2 weeks into filming it, I don't actually think it's real.
I agree.
Like, not even people are like, the first day. I'm like, no. Give us a few weeks.
Yeah.
Then once they've spent, like, once you have to get past, like, the terminal velocity of spending in order to make it that you are not coming back. And in the first few weeks, they could still shut you down. It might be worth the money to them. And so we've had that happen almost, like, enough times that, like, we really don't count on anything happening until it's actually happening. So that's why we have 1,000 things. We're always trying to do at once because you don't know which one's actually going to happen ever, Like, of all the things we have in development right now, like, I could not tell you which one is actually going to be the next one that materializes because you just never know.
How do you not get overwhelmed? You must have those moments where you're like, I think my brain is going to just split the seams on
it. Actually, like, the only thing I get most stressed out around the releases of our movies. That's the only thing that, like, at this point, I because it's like I have no control over it, and I think that's why it stresses me out. Everything else I have a lot of control over. Our work I have a lot of control over. My schedule I have quite a bit of control over. Like one of the biggest things I have no control over is just like, will people like our movies, and will they make enough money that they keep letting us make movies, which are my two main concerns when it comes to the release of our movies. And so literally in like the 2 weeks leading up to the release of our movies are really the only times that I'm like, and then I'm doing a lot of promotion, this is not that stressful, but going on talk shows sometimes is stressful, and like just the
6 minutes, be funny.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like traveling, so the travel is stressful, and going all around just stresses me out, And so those are the only times that I really start to get stressed out. But in my day-to-day, being busy doesn't stress me out. Like I like it. Like, and if I like the things I'm working on, then it's fun, and I actually just really enjoy it.
Is there an idea that you love so much that you haven't been able to push through somewhere?
What's crazy is kind of Sausage Party and Preacher were like the last two of those in a lot of ways, which is we're definitely in kind of a different. Like there is like it kind of feels like we've hit the end of the line in some regards as like the old things we'd been working on, like those are the last, and they're both things we've been trying to make for like 10 years basically. So, and it's weird because I've been promoting both of them, and they could not be more different from one another. And so many days, like at Comic-Con, it was like Sausage Party one day, Preach the next day, and I was at South by Southwest. It was Sausage Party one day, Preach the next day, and like it's fun to talk about both of them. I love both of them, and they both are very like representative of like where my tastes and sensibilities lie, but it is funny that those are the two things that I've been talking about a lot lately. But there isn't really anything. No, I mean, we have a lot of other things. Things are slowly becoming those things as no one makes them. So in around 3 or 4 years, yes, there will be those things that we can't get made and that we've been trying to get made for years. Right now, they're still new.
There must be like a Library of Alexandria under Hollywood somewhere of amazing things that just for whatever political reasons got suppressed or didn't make it out. I mean, I don't know how you would ever find out, but there must be such.
I'm amazed at how many like great pilots there must be, like that they made, that tons of money. Like that's what's so weird. Like now that we're doing more television, is like as you're shooting a pilot, you're like, no one might ever see this. Like a movie, the worst movies people can watch,
right?
Like even like the greatest pieces of shit of all time don't get locked away into a vault where no one can see them, and they're like great pilots that no one will ever see. Ever.
That's why I like the way Amazon does it. If they pay for it, they air them, and you get a chance to be like, "Oh, I like this one. Make more."
That's
Bosch.
how we got Danger and Eggs picked up.
See,
is it people? We were able to drive enough traffic to it, and they were like, "Okay, now do 20 of them or whatever."
Yeah, that's amazing.
Whereas, like also the Netflix way, which is just like, we're not going to give you a pilot. Here's $1 $1
Yeah. We're also not going to tell you. We're also not going to tell you how many people are watching.
Because it doesn't matter. People subscribe. Who cares?
That's the dream scenario in some ways, where like you don't know if you're successful or not, because then you're as successful as you are in your own head, which is fantastic.
I know, but it's so hard to measure. It's like we don't have.
Stop thinking of it like that.
Yeah,
but it's
gone.
But how do you know? How can you? How
if
can
the
you track
checks
growth?
keep coming, you're fine.
Exactly.
That's it.
Oh, that's such a reductionist way to think about it.
That's it. Netflix doesn't give a shit. They have like 1 billion subscribers. It's not that many, but it's they have money upon money.
Yeah.
That's why they just said at TCAs, everyone's worried about us outspending everyone. Well, we're going to triple how much money we're spending. Well, they don't care because they're still getting money.
But you know what though? But it's not even just a money thing.
I subscribe to watch Frasier. I don't subscribe for Orange is the New Black. But if my money pays for Orange is the New Black,
that's fine.
Don't you have all Frasier on DVD and everything?
Democratic.
The DVD is my emergency in case something goes wrong with the internet.
The internet goes out. Yeah, you never know.
But also the quality of the stuff they're making. Like just because people have money doesn't mean the quality's going to be good. But
they're making good stuff.
Yeah.
They're making real
Great
good stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're consciously doing more television because, like, TV's great right now. And, like, with Preacher is a good example of, like, that we would never get those resources to do something that weird in movies. And they probably wouldn't even have let me and Evan do it if it was a movie, honestly. They would have been like, get someone who's done this before. Like, in TV, just the fact that we were, like, movie people was, like, flashy enough that we were allowed to try something that was, like, completely unlike anything we'd ever done, which... Honestly, yeah, like if we wrote a movie like Preacher that had the proportional budget of Preacher from movies to television, no one would have ever let us
Who
make
did you
it.
say was going to do it, and then you had pitched yourself as Arseface to
Sam Mendes.
Sam Mendes was going to do a Preacher
Like, exactly.
movie.
That's who would do the movie version of Preacher. And we kept trying to do it, and that's why we kept getting overpassed. But when it went to television... Maybe we were, I think we were like really just in the right place at the right time because we were like the movie people who wanted to do it.
But that would have been a tough movie to do because you have to. How do you set up? I guess you can't really set it up if it's a movie. You kind of just have to get into
do it. Yeah. And then it's just there was movie scripts. I never read any of them, but I think great writers wrote scripts for the movie. You know, I think John August wrote one of the scripts. Yeah,
John's great.
Yeah, amazing. And so now that we've done this, I was always afraid to read it because I was afraid I would subconsciously steal from it. But maybe now that the season's over, I will read it because I'm just kind of curious as to what. I'm just kind of fascinated by it, but. But yeah, it's like TV is letting us do things so far, knock on wood, that like would be very hard to do in movies.
It was funny to see how many people when Ian Coletti was on the after show were like, "Oh my gosh, he's so adorable!" Like,
he's good looking. He's an actor.
He doesn't really have a butthole for a mouth, but in the comics,
doesn't really.
It'd be great.
There wasn't an open casting.
Yeah, if he did, it would have made his life a lot easier in some ways.
Type, like a butthole type.
Less time in the makeup chair.
Yeah, but because in the comics he's super fucked up.
Way grosser. Yeah, we toned him down for the show to make him not as... there is an image online, and I don't know if it's from the HBO. There was an HBO pilot that almost got made one time, and I think it didn't get made. But there is some image online, maybe just an effects house did it. They just do these things sometimes, of... like what Arseface looks like exactly from the comics, like done on someone in prosthetic, and it's like it's so hard to look at.
Oh yeah,
that I remember we looked at that and we were like, "This is the proof that we should not try to replicate the exact look from the comic." It's just too much.
Yeah, someone did that. I think they did that with Simpsons panels where they did like this is what they would look like in real if they were real.
Oh, that's so amazing!
It's really disturbing.
Oh, I got to see that.
It's legitimately disturbing.
That sounds amazing.
I think it's great that the guy who played Kelly in Bad News Bears is now one of the best actors in the world.
Jackie's amazing. And he's really, I'm always intimidated by actors. Like, as a director, I don't like dealing with actors, which is not a good quality to have. I just don't like, that's why I think I work with my friends a lot, because I'm just intimidated by actors sometimes. And so, with my friends, I'm more comfortable with them. But Jackie or Haley was someone I was very intimidated by, because I was like, I have to direct him now. And he's like a real actor. He's like nominated for Academy Awards and stuff like that. I was like, this is and then he was so nice. He couldn't have been cooler or easier. And he's made like the weirdest character ever. It's like the strangest dude of all time, which is great.
Did it would you allow yourself to direct some crazy if they were like, we want to do a Sony Pictures classic, like an epic period, like, would you direct like a cast full of Academy Award winners?
Yeah, I would. I would, not only in a movie I thought I could direct, but because that's the other thing about good actors is they do make your job a lot easier, and they make you look good as a director as well. Like, there's so many days, actually, where, like, you have a plan. Like, you go in every day of filming with, like, a little plan. You're like, I want to shoot it like this, and for this line, I'll get this shot. And there's, like, 30 shots I want to do throughout the day. And as soon as there's a performance problem, your plan is suddenly out the window. And it's like, Now we just have to shoot this scene in a simple way and focus on getting the performance right. And that happens to every actor. Like, I've caused that to happen on countless scenes that I've directed, so that's even more annoying. But with, obviously the higher caliber actor and the more you as a director have done your job in talking to them beforehand, the less that happens and the more style you can actually inject into your work as a director, I find, because you literally just have more time to do shots and stuff that make it look better.
I can't help but wonder if you're directing someone like Daniel Day-Lewis who won't drop character.
Yeah.
Do you have to say, like, President Lincoln?
Yeah, exactly. I think you do.
Pick that up fast and then maybe say, like, can you...
Well, that's what's weird is acting is very technical sometimes. Like, sometimes it's like the camera can't see your face unless you look more that way.
Right.
And like, how, I don't know.
So do you have to say, Mr. President, can you look this way?
Mr. Camera, our imaginary photo box requires the light to bounce off your face in a certain way.
Hanging out with Daniel Day-Lewis while he's filming is like going to a Ren fair where the guy where
exactly.
it won't drop it.
It's just a semantical nightmare. How do you do
I just need a bathroom, please. I just need a working bathroom.
How do I tell you you're not hitting your mark?
Oh, I do too, my lady. I do too. Oh, what are these witchcraft words?
No, it's so... I've never dealt with that, thankfully. But.
Well, that's good.
And probably never will. I'm sure Daniel Day-Lewis will never work with me.
He might. You know what, though? He might. You must... I would imagine people that you probably...
I'm constantly surprised at who's willing to work with us.
Yeah. Well, you guys make fun stuff, and I think there's also this kind of mythos that is developed around it of like, oh, you're all friends and you hang out and you just happen to make stuff, and so there's almost like this bigger overarching meta relationship that I think people like feeling like they're a part of too.
That's great. We all hate each other in real life, but it's nice that I'm glad that the illusion has upheld itself for as long as it has. No, we actually all very much get along, and it is fun. But the truth is, if I didn't like them, I would still want to work with them because I actually think they are the funniest, most talented people that are available to work with, generally speaking. And so it's and I met almost all of them through work. So it really isn't like, oh, I hire my friends. It's like, oh no, I've become friends with who I think are some of the most talented people who are making movies, and I've just maintained those friendships, and I keep working with them mostly because they're so good at their jobs,
But I would imagine it also, part of the reason why people probably like doing it is because it lets people like Emma Watson do something weird that she would never normally get to do.
Yeah, I hope those people view it that way. It's my only hope that they come out of it feeling that I got to do something fun and not like, what the fuck just happened to me? And I'm sure we've had an even split, honestly. But sometimes, it's funny because I had met Michael Fassbender a few times. While we were filming This Is the End, they were making 12 Years a Slave, and we would hang out sometimes. And
very similar movies.
And I think like dramatic actors like him, he kept saying like, oh, I want to make one of your types of movies, And then we were making the Steve Jobs movie. I was like, I bet you never thought we'd be working together on one of your types of movies. I bet you didn't think I'd be lowering your art form. I thought you'd be elevating my art form.
Did you hang out with Woz?
I did hang out with Woz quite a bit, actually.
Seems like a super cool guy.
Oh, he's like the nicest guy in the entire world and has like amazing stories, and I really got along with him. Like, we still email every once in a while, and he was nice enough to auction off some like charity lunches with me and him. So I every once in a while I have a charity lunch that I go have with him, which is great because it's a good time to catch up.
Nice enough to do that? Or did he just do it without telling you?
No, yeah.
By the way, Seth,
I did it.
I bought on eBay. I bought a 5-inch floppy that he signed. It just says Woz on it.
It's really amazing. Yeah, like he's one of all the people I know. Like it's super weird that I know Steve Wozniak. He's high on the list of like it's weird like people I could call. Like if I had to make a list of like how did it get to the place that I know how to call these people, like Woz is very high on.
You have
the guy who invented computers is.
You have to put him on speed dial just so it just has like
it says Woz, yeah,
family and then
Woz. I love Woz.
You have. Did you ever meet him when you were?
Yeah, I met him a couple times.
He's like the most lovable guy in the world, right?
He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
He's a old computer weirdo.
An old billionaire computer weirdo.
Yeah.
He great
keeps,
stories.
He keeps a pad of $2
bills.
which cost him. He orders them and has them cut. And turned into tearaway pads
that he signs for
people. It's like.
I went to the
costs him more to make the pad than $2.
Yeah, I went to the Magic Castle with Woz for 6 hours. It was really
Did you guys see any shows? Or did you
he said we just we saw every show. It was amazing. He loves magic. Shockingly,
shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, why doesn't he buy? I mean, he could just buy the Magic
exactly.
Castle
He probably could.
He wanted to. But I don't know what it must be. The responsibility. Well, I guess if you've been a billionaire for a long time, you probably get over the idea of like you probably don't drive around and go, I could buy that. I guess I could buy that too. I could probably buy that.
He likes a deal. I will say, like he's excited about a cheap restaurant.
The super rich people I know love a deal.
Yeah, they love a deal.
Love a deal.
Love a deal. He's into a deal.
Yeah.
We'll talk about deals. Yeah. I want to be like Woz. Don't talk about deals. I'm like maybe one of the few people you can like maybe talk about that with, but like most people are not psyched to hear you talk about that.
Clipped a coupon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you got $20 off that.
I got a 6-inch sub, but that's this coupon.
Exactly.
They made it a 12-inch.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. It's like 2 6-inch subs. Yeah. I got lunch for tomorrow.
You have the economy of a small country. It's just at your ATM.
Like, I personally have given you like $500,000 just over the years. Like, you have my money. You don't just have like figurative riches. Like, I've directly given you my money. Like a good amount of it over the years.
Did doing the Steve Jobs movie make you? Did you like just being an actor?
Yes. I really did, and honestly, because I was considering not acting anymore, like in other people's movies. It's not like it's not a hard decision to make because I don't get the opportunity to do it that often. It's not like I'm really not like it's not like I'm getting tons of offers that I'm rejecting. Like I don't get offered a lot of parts in other people's movies, and so part of me was thinking like maybe I should just like close the floodgate on that and just like only act in our movies and the ones I was making, and then that came up, and I had a really good time doing it. And I thought, I'll continue acting in other people's movies. And since then, I have not acted in anyone else's movies because no one has offered me the opportunity to act in their movies. So it was a purely symbolic decision.
I think most people see... they see you, or even like Emma Watson, or people that they go, oh, those people are very successful at what they do. They could probably do anything. Yeah. And I think what they don't realize is you can't. That the film business is actually quite restrictive.
No, if I was just an actor and I didn't write and produce and direct, I would have been in like 2 movies in the last 10 years. Like seriously, like I would not be at all successful. Like I would not. I'd probably need like 3 other jobs to support myself. Like. I don't. And that's the reason we started. I mean, like, I knew very early in my career, like, I'm going to have to self-perpetuate my own work. Like, there's very few people being like, I need a chubby Jew in my movie. Like, that's not how Hollywood works. People are like, we should put Brad Pitt in our movies. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to make movies that need that type of role in order to function.
They might say we need a chubby Jewish guy to finance
exactly, yeah, not to be in them. I'm the wrong line of work.
So what are you working on? I imagine are you writing season 2 of Preacher currently?
We're like just starting to talk about it.
So is there anything else that you're doing that's happening soon?
Well, we have like a pilot for FX that we're gonna shoot that we're working on right now. We'll probably start. We're writing the script right now. We're working on the script, but we'll film that sometime in the next year, basically. And
is that announced?
I don't know if it is. I think it is. I don't know if it is. It's about singularity. It's about
Kurzweil?
Yeah, it's about artificial intelligence. It's a half-hour comedy about about the singularity, basically. And I won't say anything else, just because I honestly don't even know if
it's happening. I just read an article about neural dust.
Yeah, exactly. It's happening. It's super scary, and so we're trying to make a comedy out of it.
Neural dust, basically, just like small particles that work. Kind of like nanomites.
Yeah,
they just sort of work in your system and can
wipe out whole civilizations. Yeah.
But it's they always kind of pitch you the good stuff first. Oh, it can help your body, with functions that maybe your body, if you have problems with certain functions, it can help get in there. That could probably wipe.
Yeah, exactly.
Also wipe out your man.
I wrote a prank for Spade's prank show. I think it might air next week, but where the guy we're pranking thinks he's responsible for the singularity starting.
Wow, that's pretty
the
great.
Robot goes nuts and starts destroying everything.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That's amazing.
How does one respond to such a?
Yeah.
You know what?
How did he take it well?
Everyone takes it well, unless it's funny. Like all the people that we had that like casting would do,
He took it pretty well.
It's funny because the show's called Fameless, so the premise of the show is that it's like people that want to be famous for no discernible reason. They have no talent, they have no nothing, they just want to be famous. So that's
how do I get on this show?
So it was interesting what we sort of figured out throughout the making of it was like if they had like any sort of like improv training or were doing stand up or comedy or anything,
wasn't good.
They weren't going to take it well.
Yeah.
Right.
But if they just wanted to be famous, they had fun with it. Like we did one. The one that aired on the season premiere, the one I wrote that was like sort of almost blew our budget was like we had this girl come in to read she was auditioning to anchor the celebrity news on this internet news network, and what happens is the apocalypse starts happening and she's the last broadcasting news station.
Oh, that's amazing.
And you were able to convince her of that?
Wow,
No.
that's incredible.
2 people.
That's amazing. That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
They had to know that
It was stunning. We had
That's amazing.
just around the studio, we had different people stationed as like our reporters in like Nebraska, Florida, whatever, and then we'd have like this rolling fog would come in. And that was,
What kind of an apocalypse was it?
it was an alien apocalypse.
Whoa, cool.
Network was like, make sure this doesn't look like
So
terrorism
you basically
at all.
just did War of the Worlds?
That's incredible.
Essentially, we
To
did
two
a live
people.
War of the World to 2 people. Like we were going to do a third person, but the second girl like bought it so convincingly. Like at the end of it, the fog gets into the studio, and at the end of it, she's on the desk trying to stay away from the fog to like finish the news broadcast. Like,
Whoa, good
it
for
was-
her.
It was stunning. It was
Ladies and
really
gentlemen, some
spectacular.
startling reports are coming in through the news now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
That's incredible.
Do you ever want to go back to stand? You ever want to do stand-up again?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, no. Yeah.
No, Seth.
I've thought about. I don't know.
First time I ever met Seth, he was doing
Yeah.
stand-up.
It's funny, Judd's been doing it a lot more lately.
He has been,
and
yeah.
he's been great. I saw him at Just for Laughs like 2 weeks ago, and it was incredible. I don't know. Part of me thinks about it, and then part of me is like, what the fuck am I going to talk about? I don't know. I don't have anything to say. And I'm so busy that I don't think... I like really respect it as a thing, and I don't want to like half-ass it. And I probably would just be half-assing.
And if it didn't go well, then you'd feel bad and be like, God damn it, now I just feel
Yeah, exactly.
bad.
Now I just like have created a new situation to make myself feel shitty in, which I don't.
I'm feeling terrible. Let me call Waz, see if he has any deals.
Yeah, exactly. I've created a whole new circumstance to make myself feel
Seth,
bad.
I just went to Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah, exactly.
I clipped a thing from the paper. I got 5 baseballs for the price of 3. You play baseball? No, but what a deal.
No, how do you pass that up, though? I don't know. Yeah,
You're asking me to leave free baseballs on the table.
Exactly. It was, so I don't know. There is some, like, deep part of my brain that was like, maybe that would be fun to try again, and maybe it would be good for me as a writer, I think, sometimes, and maybe would kind of sharpen some edges that could use sharpening, maybe. So, yeah, I think about it sometimes, but I don't know.
I don't know why I feel like you might know and like this movie, and we were talking about Canadian stuff earlier. Did you ever see a movie called The Wrong Guy with Dave Foley?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's incredible. Love that movie.
And almost no one knows about it.
Because I don't think it came out.
It didn't come out because
yeah.
I think it was part of the it was kind of what we were talking about. It was sort
Yeah.
of the fallout of like a weird political studio thing.
Yeah, it was like that Masterminds movie. It was like the Zach Galifianakis movie
Right.
that just got caught in that exact same situation.
Did you ever see
basically.
The Wrong Guy?
No.
It's great.
Fucking amazing. It's Dave Foley.
Yeah, so far
and
I'm on
Dave
board.
Higgins is in it as
Yep,
well.
love it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of funny.
It's funny. I was literally just talking about this movie like 2 days ago because I was at Fallon show and Steve Higgins was there, and I
Yes.
was explaining to the
His
person I
brother,
was with.
yeah.
I was like, Dave Higgins is in The Wrong Guy. Which was
David. Who directed it? David.
I can't remember.
Katie,
who
look up
directed
The Wrong
it.
Guy.
So the cast and crew just composed of the Daves I know?
Yeah, exactly.
And Bruce McCullough is singing.
All the kids in the hall are in it at one point or another.
Some of them are. I think a couple of them are in it, but essentially,
It's such a funny idea.
it's a genius idea. Basically, the beginning of the movie, Dave Foley walks in on his boss, and his boss, like, he goes in to like tell his boss off, and his boss is dead. and he's convinced that they're going to think he did it. And so
he goes on the run,
but they immediately know that he didn't do it. Surveillance cameras.
Yeah,
so they're basically chasing the criminal across the country, and he thinks they're chasing him.
Yeah, but they know he didn't do it. Like, they instantly know that he did not do it.
No interest in him whatsoever.
It's really funny, and he's going through like insane lengths to disguise himself.
That's a great premise.
David Steinberg. David Steinberg.
Oh.
Yeah. David Steinberg directed it.
It's such a funny idea, and it's a funny movie.
Oh my God.
A really, really
that sounds
good movie.
great.
And Dave Higgins works for the FBI.
The FBI, yeah.
And he's basically just using it as an excuse to get the. He's like, "Oh, we're going to be in New York. We should see a movie. We should see a play." So he's basically just using the FBI budget to go to see plays
in the cities that
they're
in.
To do tourist things. Yeah, it's a fucking great. It's just one of those great movies that.
Yeah.
You know,
not a lot of people have seen.
Not a lot of people have seen. Well, I hope a lot of people see Sausage Party.
Thank you.
And I hope
not a sentence you thought you'd be saying. Probably.
It's not a lemon party.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No.
If you can go to sausageparty.com, it's exactly what you think it would.
You said to me like a week ago. You said it is the filthiest movie not just filthiest movie I've ever made. You said it's the filthiest movie I've ever seen.
It still shocks me. Like it is. And it's shocking. It's a shocking movie. I'm shocked that we got away with it. And even in a few more years, I'll look at it and be like, it's even more shocking.
But what happens if What happens if you end up having to make a trilogy of them?
Oh, it would be amazing. I would love that. I would make sausage movies for the rest of my life. I look at like what Sam Raimi did with those Spider-Man movies and think I would do that with sausages. Just dedicate a decade of my life to talking hot dogs.
It opens this weekend?
Yes,
yeah.
August 12th.
August 12th. And when is this going up, Katie Levine?
Thursday.
Oh, it's going up Thursday.
Well,
there you go.
Go to a midnight screening tonight.
You could see it.
You could totally see it tonight.
By the time you've downloaded this and listened to it, I don't know if people listen the
I think
second
they do.
it comes out.
So there's
do.
a segment of
They
the
do.
audience that does that.
This one, they would.
I mean,
They see Seth's name on there. They're gonna listen.
Marin, but
Exactly.
they'll give it a shot.
I get to hear Seth Rogen only audio. Perfect. Just have a laugh. Just have that laugh in my ears, and that's it. Finally,
That's got a ringtone.
everyone's dream. Yeah,
It's gonna be someone's fucking ringtone.
I'm sure it is.
Oh,
When they all hear it as a ringtone. What's funny is there's a guy who lives in West Hollywood who has a McLovin license plate, and I see him periodically, and every time I see him, he's just embarrassed, and he's like not happy to see me. Like, he's just like, oh, so, like I didn't think this would happen. And the first time I saw him was in a parking lot, and it's a convertible, so I literally like walked up to it like as he was pulling out of his car, and he was there with his wife or something, and I was like, hey. And literally, his wife looked at me and then said, I told you this was going to happen one day. Yeah. And the guy was like, oh, fuck.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I knew. Yeah.
I just didn't think it through.
I didn't think it through.
These are forever.
I was like, no, it's fine.
Adult who made a life decision to do that. That's
It's cool. I'm happy about that. I like it.
He must, on some level, even though his wife gave him
Probably,
shit.
yeah. That was cool.
Yeah, on some level, when she said, I told this would happen inside, he was like, I knew this would
Yeah,
happen.
finally, it happened. I told you this would happen.
Finally, totally validated. It is always a delight to chat with you, Seth Rogen.
You too,
Thank
man.
You so
Thank
much.
you.
And thanks again for doing the Preacher After Show.
Hey,
both
my
times.
pleasure.
It was
Thank
really
you.
fun.
That
All
was
right.
a good time.
Enjoy your burrito, everyone. The end.
Now leaving Nerdist.com. Enjoy your burrito.